My name is Rawan. I am from Palestine. I was born and raised in East Jerusalem. Lived there for most of my life. I'm a social worker in profession and also a special educator. I've worked for the past 10 years with Palestinian and Israeli young girls, and American, of course, to counter some of the existing stereotypes about each group, and also in our hope that by having more understanding and more people who know people from different sides and different perspectives, that there'll be more of a just and peaceful solution between Palestinians and Israelis. I am currently the board chair for the organization that I started with at the age of 17 as a participant. And so after 10 years, I would say that working with Building Bridges definitely has influenced my life tremendously. Mainly is learning that we come from different backgrounds and that those different backgrounds is something to celebrate as opposed to something to have grief over. One of the main inspirations was hearing the stories of some of the youth who come to our programs. And I remember one story, and it was like 1 year that we had our 1 of 2 years that we had our programs working with girls and boys at the same time. We normally work with girls, but that was like sort of a different way because we wanted to reach out to boys who were definitely missed within a lot of the programming that focused on sort of building peaceful communities in general. I remember one of the participants at the age of 18 saying that if he saw a Palestinian kid bleeding and an Israeli kid bleeding, he knows where he's going to run to. And he was very selective about it. And I think that was one of the most moving but also saddest moments I've experienced working with young people, because if we get to the point where we're selective about who we treat and who we work with and who do we believe deserves more life than another person, I think we are the ones who failed them. We are the adults, we're the ones who failed them as young people. So I think from that point, it was pretty apparent to me that, first of all, we need to work with people who are actually the ones who believe in these things, that some people are better than others, some nations or some groups should survive on the expense of other groups. So I think that's sort of hearing similar stories to these basically set me on a path of working with people who come from conflict areas and people who definitely believe that violence is a good way to resolve any conflict that is there or to prove a point. Later in life, I started working with social work students, and I think working with Palestinian social work students was definitely life-altering and very, very much taught me so much, not only about the community that I come from, but also about how human beings can easily be good or bad. In the first stance, you might say somebody's good or somebody's bad, but really, we are all good and bad, and we could go either way at a specific moment in time. So knowing the fact that we can go either way, good or bad, I think that's what inspires me and keeps me doing the work that I do, because I know, then I am sure that there is a possibility of change, that working with people is definitely the way to do the work, or changing environments, changing the world, giving an opportunity for a person to live without having to think about, am I safe to walk down the street or not? Just thinking about it from more of a humanitarian or human-oriented perspective. So I think that's where the inspiration comes from. So I have a difficulty with certain questions of like, how are you changing the world? I think we get that a lot, first of all, as activists, but also as women activists specifically. I think to many people is that, where is the change? We can't see it, it's not apparent. And I think, to me, the changing of the world starts with changing people. the more people we have working with us in the hope of changing more people and changing the world, I think it is when we have succeeded. Changing one person is not enough, I agree, but changing the life of one person is tremendous, especially when that life of that one person is saved and is working towards something even bigger than who they are and what they are. So, in short, maybe, in summary, I changed the world by providing a space for other individuals, as well as myself, to talk about things that we cannot be honest about in different communities, or to discuss things that are very much polarized and see where that could be taken. I believe we become the people who we are only because of the opportunities that we get in life. So I just believe in providing more opportunities and seeing where those opportunities would take people. So it's also like not only my work, it's also that person's work. They need to take the time, they need to make the effort, they need to be open to being changed. And I think that's the main challenge. When you choose to do a certain kind of work that is in a very difficult, let's say, places, context, you also need to remember that you're also human. You need time to grieve. You need time to be happy. You need to be patient with yourself and loving with yourself as you are with others. And I think that's the most important part that I think many people looking from the outside at activists sort of miss out on. But I think the best way that I deal with it is, first of all, is with that gentleness, just being gentle with myself and being like, yes, I really believe in this cause, I really believe in working on it, but I think I need a 5-minute break. If we talk about humanizing, it's important to humanize ourselves because we're not machines, we're not, again, activism is one thing that we do, it's one thing that I do, it's not my entire life, it's not my entire identity. And I think staying healthy with that balance of, yes, we all should be socially responsible, we all should be environmentally responsible, but at the same time, it's okay to take a break, it's okay to take 5 minutes and put yourself in the list of priorities in addition to activism, in addition to the work that you do or whatnot. So to me, just like thinking that activism is not who I am, it's part of who I am. It's just not all of it. And I think that's really important. That's how I stay healthy within the world of activism, as if we want to call it that way.